Are you curious what's in store for Disciplined Agile in 2022? I know I am, and that is today's topic. Welcome, everyone. I'm Joshua Barnes, the founder of Process Mentors and the host of All Things Disciplined Agile. Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us today. So many familiar faces that I'm seeing kind of getting in, and one thing I'll ask a few times over the next few minutes is as you get in, if you could just post in the chat where you're from. It's always great to see participation and attendance from all over the world. So today, once again, I am joined by Mark Lyons and Scott Ambler, the co-creators of Disciplined Agile. Mark is the Vice President of Disciplined Agile for PMI, and Scott is also a Vice President and the Chief Scientist of DA for PMI. So welcome, Mark, and welcome, Scott. And as we get going, how about you guys just do a brief little introduction of yourselves? I can't imagine anybody out there doesn't know who you guys are, but there could be one or two.
Unless they stumbled in by accident into this presentation, which I doubt. I'm one of the creators with Scott of Disciplined Agile, and I lead the brand at PMI.
And I'm one of the co-creators too, and I lead the IP team. So we're the ones developing the methodology.
Awesome. Well, for today's session, we don't really have anything scripted or planned. I mean, a big part of it is just to maybe hear from both of you what's in store for DA in 2022, and then open it up for questions for those in attendance. Let alone, I've got a lot of canned questions that I want to ask.
Maybe I'll get it started, and then because I'm really interested. I'm sure you'd be interested to know what Scott and his IP team have planned. I'm going to start the conversation with sort of the standard disclaimer that we're talking about futures here. And so when we plan to do this, plans change, as we know in the Agile world. What we talk about is not a commitment to anything, but we're willing to share with you in the spirit of transparency, which is an Agile thing. We'll share with you kind of some of the things that are on our roadmap, subject to change. And I'm willing to do that because some people might say, well, why would you show your competitors what you're up to? They might beat you to it. Well, those of you who understand DA know that we actually don't have competitors. There's no equivalent to the comprehensive toolkit in existence. And we make anything better. We are the Switzerland of the methods wars. We don't get into those. We try to make everybody's process better. So that's just the standard disclaimer. I'll start, I guess, with a couple of things. We're very excited about 2022. We think that this is going to be a gangbuster year for DA. We've been very focused on the last couple of years with the integration of DA into PMI, and believe me, it's been painful. Integrating the membership and migrating it into the PMI membership. We ended up redesigning the certification program, as many of you know, and that was time-consuming, very painful. I've got to admit, and it's not done. The courses are great; they can be better. The certification journey is solid. We think it can be better. So you expect it to evolve. And you're going to hear more about that this year, is that we're going to paint a picture for the larger sort of multi-year roadmap of where we're taking DA in the spirit of transparency. And we're very excited about it. I'll also talk about we're going to be making a big presence at the Agile Alliance Conference in Nashville. That is July 18 to 23. Be awesome if you folks could attend, because you're going to see sort of a side of DA that you've never seen before. We're going to have a huge presence. We're going to have contests. We hope to be doing a lot of speaking, and there'll be gifts given away and shirts and all kinds of things. And you're actually going to see some brand new things that we'll be launching at that conference. So awesome. Get excited about that. I got many other things here that we can talk about over the next hour. But I don't want to sort of talk for 30 minutes. So that's Scott.
Really, Mark?
And you don't want to listen to me for 30 minutes. But Scott, thoughts on what's top of mind for this year?
Yeah, definitely. So from an IP point of view, we're going to spend a lot of time fleshing out material on the website. We've gotten clear feedback on that, and that's great. Which we've been doing. We've been publishing constantly on the website. We have release notes on the site if you want to find out what we've actually been doing. And I'm happy to share that a little later on. But yeah, so I think we'll be doing a lot more of that this year. We've heard loud and clear that people want more information in the browser, the DA browser, which is on our definitely on our radar. The 5.4 release will be released at the end of January. Normally that would have been at the end of December, but holidays and all that sort of stuff. So we pushed that back to the end of the month, the 28th, Friday the 28th, last Friday of the month. And part of that release will just updates of existing material, but we will also be adding details for 2 process blades, portfolio management and product management. So those will both be in there for several reasons, and we'll see updates to the site that week as well. Yeah, and then the intent in future releases quarterly will be to continue adding more process blades.
So in addition to the process blades, and then just, again, tweaking some of the content that's, been in the browser for a while, what other features might we see in the browser as far as things that somebody can, maybe customize, or anything else? I know that over, time, there's been lots of probably requests that have been made as far as what people would like to see. Anything else other than new content? How about some new functionality?
Yes. Well, some of the new functionality that's coming out that will start, we will not be leveraging in this release of the content, but are embedding diagrams in the text. We also have support for referencing between blades and between any element in the model. Because we end up I'm going to go into process wonk mode for a second, but one of the challenges one of the great things with DA is that at the team level, there's a bunch of techniques that reference stuff going on at the blade at higher level blade level. So, for example, when we talk about architecture at the team level, some of the advice is, well, work with the enterprise architects, or go work with these people, or go do this. Or if the team is secure funding, the secure funding process goal is obviously work with finance. Well, we can now point to where in finance that is, and back and forth, right? So that'll make the browsing between areas in the model a little bit easier. But as far as being able to tailor your own material, that's something we have in beta right now. We have not shared that publicly to any great extent, other than with some beta people. So we're getting feedback on that. We call it the DA profiler. Not sure that name will stick forever, but right now that's what we're calling it. So
if I could, that's great, Scott. If I could add, so the profiler, the ability to customize the content for you. Maybe you really like the term iteration rather than sprint, and you want to change it. We're building that kind of functionality, add options, hide options, whatever. That's coming. But something that's related, and I'm very excited about, is when you look at our website right now, the goal diagrams are images, and so every time something changes in the toolkit, we got to regenerate the diagram and update the website. Wouldn't it be awesome if those diagrams were actually data driven, so that it's a widget that comes from the model? That's on our radar. It's more than our radar. It's rubber stamp road right now. And now it gets interesting. If we had a widget that can display browser content, data driven, it's always going to be live and reflect the up to date. And if it was responsive, and you could view the toolkit on your iPad or on your phone, wouldn't that be awesome? And of course, if it's on the phone, you're not going to be squinting at goal diagrams. It will be represented in a different way, some kind of tree, expand, foldy thing. But you build it once to deploy it in many different kinds of devices. Would be pretty exciting. And Scott is overseeing what's going to be a big deal, which is a redesign of the DA website, which is going to be much cooler, much sexier, much more content rich, really much more modern than what you're currently looking at. I'm very excited about that. And if you bolt in what I just told you into that, I think you get a pretty immersive DA experience that would be competitive with what you might see on, let's say, a SAFE website. So an ability to really take a deep dive into, and we're calling this, tentatively calling this internally at least, a showcase. So simply, he's not really ready to take a course because, yeah, Mark and Scott ramble on about pragmatic, yada, yada. But what is it exactly? So they can go in, kick the tires, say, oh, this is kind of cool stuff. I want to learn more. And that's when they decide, to go to a course, get certified or whatever. Awesome. So that's coming. And a really exciting thing I want to share with you is our plans to do an app. So wouldn't it be cool if your team members, in a retrospective, are struggling with requirements and saying, we need something more than stories. What are our options? And somebody says, why don't we pull out the app and have a look? We're exploring scope. What kind of models can we supplement our stories with and have a conversation? And what if it was freely available from the App Store and there was no cost to it? Because one of the things people constantly tell us is that DAs and Gartner, as an example, is an awesome tool. Nobody knows about it. We got to get the word out there. We got to put it into the hands of people so that, because when they do, they go, wow, this is really cool. There's some I thought I knew everything about Agile. Look at all these things I've never even heard of that can help me be more effective for me and my teams. But give it to them, right? Get it in their hands. And I think that'll help to build the ecosystem. So we plan to launch an app in not too distant future.
Awesome. So as usual, John Ward is kind of reading my mind. So, John asked about, is there going to be more value stream content? One of the things that I want to ask is, a lot of the content in the DA browser now, especially because it's focused on sort of the disciplined agile delivery process blade, it's a, singular product focus, at least in my opinion, right? I mean, it's, teams supporting a product. And as we get into value stream management and we have multiple products, at least in the development value stream. So I'll add on to what John, is asking, more value stream content. And then in addition to that, because you kind of need both perspectives, right? Not every organization is, whether they should or not, looking at moving towards value stream management. For those that are, it's a different view you need into some of that content.
Okay. Now, Scott is going to have an IP perspective. I'm going to have a business perspective. So maybe I'll start with Scott. You want to respond to that?
Yeah. So that's a great point. Thanks for that question. So the answer is yes. So we are actually, one of our prioritization factors is to better support the value stream material. So, which is one, and so both the blades that we're releasing on 3 Fridays from now are part of the value stream. And so, and that was actually the primary decision for why are we, publishing those 2 first. So anyway, and the plan will be to start, knocking off everything on the racetrack and get that out first. So for the reasons that John and Joshua brought up.
Yeah. And so my business perspective is one of the thrust of 2022 is to provide more appealing offerings for the B2B side of the world. The consulting companies that want to provide consulting services, how do they sell the idea of DA into an organization? And if they're interested in pragmatism and choice and power skills and all that, how do they get started? And assessment and training, and how does that work? And who do we train in what order? Those kinds of assets are something that we really need to develop, and we are right now as we speak. So we'll provide consulting partners, people who sign up to be consulting partners, with a set of assets that's going to help them build a DA consulting practice. And so part of that is training. Most of it will be consulting services to help them actually adopt it, and being able to provide the trainings at the different levels of the organization. So individual skills, team skills, organizational skills. And if you look at our certifications, you see that they sort of progress through those levels. And at the higher levels, we have the coach cert and we have the value stream consultant. My point is that this is a chicken and egg thing. Until consulting partners are in a position where they can actually implement DA into an organization, they're not going to be teaching a lot of value stream consultant stuff, in our opinion. So we want to help companies like yours, Joshua, and others give you the tools to make a compelling case for improving individual, team, and organizational performance with DA. And then I think any good consulting organization is going to have some value stream consultants, guaranteed.
Yep.
And that's when we're going to see people pulling us for better VSC content when and as they need it. Because we got so much on our docket that some of these, we need to build the excitement, the awareness. We need to, I think, tighten up our certification program as it is. And then additionally, we need to enrich the value stream consultant offering. So lots to do.
Yeah, lots to do. And I mean, the value stream consultant offering is pretty strong as it is, but definitely ways to continue to augment it. That's so what else do we have? I see some questions that had passed from before, and I know Steve had, how about this one?
Oh, okay. So books. We got an announcement for that. Now I'll give you the wrong answer, then I'll give you the right answer. So the first part is the Choose Your Wow book. The second edition will be published at the end of this month. We're aiming for the first week of February, but it'll more than likely be out sometime in the next couple of weeks. We're doing a revamp. We've done a revamp of the Choose Your Wow book. It's basically going to be much shorter. So all the reference material, so sections 2 through 5, for anybody who's familiar with the book, are now online in the DA browser. So we're not going to be, selling you this big, huge book anymore. We're going to be selling you a thinner book, which is basically a revamp of section 1 when it gets down to it, plus, a little bit extra stuff. But the real question was, where's the transformation material? On the website. So we have a little bit of material there right now, some high-level material. We have been actively working on that. In December, we internally we put together a collection of graphics, the first initial round of graphics, which will probably be going on the site sometime in late January, if not early February. So right now, from an IP point of view, our main publishing priority is DA 5.4 release. So once we've put a bow on that, then the focus will be on the transformation material. The diagrams with a little bit of text might go up as release 1, and then a week or 2 later, great and gory details will probably hear. So anyways, the answer is it's going to be on the site and under the transformation process blade. So the material that's there right now is an overview of a 3-step transformation process. And step 2, which is where the interesting stuff is, in my mind, is multiple different types of roadmaps depending on your situation. So, for example, a transformation of a greenfield organization brand new to Agile is a very different thing than a transformation of, say, an existing SAFe shop or an existing Scrum shop, which is different yet again than an organization that's maybe focusing on how do we improve finance, or how do we improve marketing? Because we're happy in IT, but the business side of the house has got some issues. So those are all different paths. So one size does not fit all, even in transformation stuff. So we are fleshing out those paths.
Excellent. And I'll say, that's great to hear. And one of the approaches that we've taken is that we have a roadmap builder. So we have a mural board that we use that actually builds based on the outcomes that are being looked for, the type of industry, the type of organization, the type of culture, all the sort of different types of roadmaps you're talking about. We've got a way to basically be able to build a roadmap that then we use that to actually create an improvement backlog, and off we go. Right. yeah, I mean,
and that's basically phase one or step one of the process. Figure out where align, right? So figure out where you are. Do some work, do some workshopping, figure out what you want to do. And part of that is say, what path do you need to get on? Right. But then it's like, well, yeah, that's a nice path, but what are the details? Like what are our actual challenges? What are our high priority challenges that we want to start knocking off? So exactly it.
And that's such a thing that we come across so often, especially no disrespect to the safe community, but I mean, there is an implementation roadmap. There is a single roadmap that has a path that everybody kind of follows, right? And that's not really So right, your reaction, Scott, is saying it all, right?
Yeah. So I actually wrote a detailed blog on this a year or two ago. That's not a roadmap. That's a trail guide. Right. So for those of you who like to go hiking, you park your car at the head of the trail and you get on, and it's a trail in the woods, right? So you're going along and doing whatever, and there might be one or two paths, but for the most part, it's a single trail, and you get from point A to point B, and often point A is point B. But that's a trail guide. That's not a roadmap. For those of us who actually are old enough to remember paper maps, you like on a map, it's like, here I am at point A. I want to get to point. I think I want to get to point B over here, and I might change my mind along the way. But there's a bunch of different ways I can get to point B. So, welcome to reality, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we all have like Waze or Google Maps or whatever on our phones. So we can find out how to get to point B. So yeah, a real roadmap gives you multiple paths.
Yeah.
Because that's reality. That is reality. It's not this fantasy world. Give me one simple path that that rules them all. Not like the Lord of the Rings, right? So, you need to, and then when and the thing is, you think you're going to point B, and it's really your aim. It ends up, you just I look at that restaurant over there. Yeah, let's stop here. And suddenly
for like Waze, it's like, well, that's a good path up until now. There's an accident being shown.
Yeah. Or you live in Washington and you get snow. And suddenly they get a multi-car pileup. But anyways,
cool.
So there's some other questions. I don't know if we want to maybe hit a few more questions. One in particular that I know I figured somebody was going to ask right away.
Sure. Hit us with hard ones if you want. Scott,
I can answer this question. I was in a call on this to verify the end of the month.
End of the month, fan.
End of the month. Yeah, more than likely Friday the 28th.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's not a firm date. We will give you a firm date when we have it. It's right now. We just got into the last. We're just about to get into the last part of the process of releasing those. We're aiming for the end of the month. High probability end of the month.
Anything else as far as just what people can expect with the exam is, different than the SM or SSM or the previous types of exams? Any insight without giving anything specifically away?
Yeah. So part of both DAC and DAVSC exams are a case study. It's a multi-page case study, which you will be given. So, once you take your workshop, you'll have access right away to the case study itself. And there's questions based on the case study. So you are highly recommended to read through the case study one or two times and, be familiar with it. But trying to predict the questions might not help you very much, but certainly being familiar with the case study is a good thing. And when you write the exam, the case study will be available to you. So it's part of the questions, but you don't want to be reading a multi-page case study at the last minute, because that won't help. That won't be a good thing.
And I'll throw a question in there. Have either of you taken the exams? And if you did you pass?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I was one of the writers of the questions. So the phenomenally well-written and intelligent questions, yes, I've passed them with flying colors.
And I have not taken it.
Okay.
Oh, how about we have one from Theo? DA material seems to be more or less IT specific. People from other sectors like pharma don't feel comfortable with the material.
Oh, give me a break. Agile comes from IT, but we've been actively working on that for years. And we're still squeezing some of the IT stuff out. But at the end of the day, I've worked for big pharma. They are IT shops. I'm sorry. They're IT shops. They just happen to be selling drugs. But, so yeah, there's a lot of IT stuff there because the world runs on IT.
Yeah. So, and Scott's right. This, he's showing a bit of frustration because we get this question a lot, but he's absolutely right. Like 95% of companies are actually at the heart of it, IT companies. You think Uber's core competency is driving people around in cars? Do you think UPS's core competency is driving around with parcels in the back of their truck? No, it's the IT systems that make them competitive. Tesla, you could argue the same thing. So every company is an IT company. Now, yes, if you want to go outside IT and start to do training of your marketing people, your comms people, your research analysts, your researchers in your pharma company, does DA, is it a slam dunk? No, it's not. I don't think we need to apologize for that. And will we have DA stuff for research? Maybe at some point. But the most of the world isn't using DA yet in their IT. So that really, if you're going to be competitive with a good IT, and you have to be, if you're not, you will go out of business, then you need disciplined agile. So we make no apologies for our focus on IT.
And if you look at our courseware, we purposely have non-IT examples and situations all the way through them. I would say this of our instructor-led workshops, of our e-learning workshops, of our microcreds. We have purposely put in non-IT stuff there. Yeah, there's some IT stuff in there, and there's a lot of non-IT stuff in there. And I would ask you, where else would you go for more non-IT stuff? It's like we've been actively working on this for a long time now. And in behind the scenes, when we put out, I'm a tyrant on that issue. Ask anybody, ask any of the internal people on our team if they try to sneak an IT example through without a non-IT example. Believe me, I'll hammer them on it. It's we got a lot of non-IT stuff there, but I appreciate the pharma was just an example, but if the pharma companies are looking for a pharma specific process to rule them all, forget it. Nobody's ever going to do that for them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So for the next question, I got to pull up something. Steve, always great to see you, but Trail of Woods, that's where Herbie is. So hello friends of Herbie and hello, Steve. So John with another great question. Would it be okay to ask when we will see some marketing investment and promotion from the PMI, because we need the support, please?
Yeah. I guess I should take that one. I know I've been promising this for some time, but we're actually doing something about it. We have already invested significant amounts of resources in improving our marketing, doing a lot of market testing, but also creating marketing pitches and campaigns and testing them. You might not see it, John, but like in some geography, some of this stuff is being tested right now and tweaked. And then when we feel it's solid, then you'll see it becomes much more visible. But I would also ask you if you have any doubt about PMI's investment in marketing, please come to the Agile Alliance Conference, where we're a platinum sponsor, which is the second one. There's only 2 title sponsors. The next level's platinum. We're platinum. We're gonna have a huge booth, and it won't be a PMI booth. It'll be a DA booth. We're going to have a huge representation. We're going to be inviting people from our DA advisory group to be there. So you're going to have like the best DA people in the world will be on site. They will be able to be in the booth. We're going to have shirts, prizes. So that's just one, and that's just one example. We're going to do a similar thing at Agile India, and probably more conferences around the world this year. It's a big difference from last year, where we spent a lot of our energy, most of our energy, to be honest, inside PMI, talking to chapters, talking to our members. And people have joked to me outside of PMI, Mark, where did you and Scott go? That's got to change. And actually, I had a talk with our interim CEO, my boss, Mike DePresco, and he was very straight up with me to say, Mark, you got to get out there and talk to people outside of PMI. And so expect to see a lot more of that this year. And we know we've let people, our consulting partners are our trainers. We know we have not given you the support that you have needed and the visibility that you have needed. It's coming, and it's coming fast. This truly is a different year, a different world for DA in 2022. We're changing the ways of working internally. Go figure, we're using DA. And we're going to be much more agile, much more of a whole team, acting much more like a startup, like we used to be. You're going to see much quicker turnaround of marketing materials, product, website updates, IP, something like you have never seen before. So I'm really excited about this year.
Awesome.
Hang in there, John.
And we've got one from Skip. Hi, Skip. So please consider those of us who remain in continuous transformation hypergrowth mode, including acquisitions. Any thoughts on any of the content or focus for these types of scenarios?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First, that's what GCI is all about, guided continuous improvement, but it's also about what lean change is all about. So at the organization level, guiding things with lean change, but at the team level and individual level at guided continuous improvement, which is both of which are continuous improvement strategies. So one of the things we talk about in DA is you often start as a transformation, but part of that transformation is you realize, well, this isn't a project. This isn't some short-term gig. This is actually a way of life. It's a long-term journey that never ends. So then you transition out of transformation mindset into continuous improvement mindset. So the three-step, earlier I mentioned a three-step process. The first one is align, get your act together. The second one is execute, do the transformation. But the third one is to thrive, to get into continuous improvement mode. So the idea of the transformation journeys is not, well, you want to improve, but the real goal is to teach you how to continuously improve, and then get you out of project mindset, transformation project mindset into continuous improvement mindset. Become a learning organization, and that's really that should be your end goal. And one of the challenges we see with the frameworks, it's they don't really have transformation processes; they have adoption processes. How do I adopt this framework? Because that's their end goal, to get you using their framework. Our end goal is to teach you how to improve.
Yeah,
that's a whole new ballgame.
So let's see, what else do we have here?
Well, Joshua, there's something I really wanted, thinking it might not come up as a question, so I kind of thought I'd
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, we've been doing lots of sensing feedback over the last year about our new course offerings. And by and large, we've been hearing that the courses are pretty solid. I mean, people are coming out saying they're learning a lot. Their eyes have opened to how to make better process decisions and improvements through the value of what's in the toolkit. They get that, but we're still getting ways we need to improve. In the DASM, as an example, we try to teach Scrum, Lean, and the DA toolkit in 2 days. Not possible. So as a result, we're doing a kind of job of all three. We're going to fix that. And we've tried. People have come out of it and said, I took a Scrum Master course. I'm not really sure I'm really going to be a good Scrum Master because I learned some about DA, learned a little bit about Scrum. Not really confident. Well, we're planning to put more Scrum content in, so it truly is a Scrum Plus course, the best Scrum course available, by the way. But let's take some of that DA content out and make it a prerequisite. Make it part of a deep dive into the toolkit, because all our courses now touch on the toolkit. But if you go through all the courses, I would say nobody has been exposed to 23 goal diagrams. We don't test on the toolkit. What if we had an offering that really did do a deep dive? And I'm not talking about going through 23 goal diagrams, very similar to what we currently do, but richer. And so take 2 days dedicated to the toolkit so people can really be exposed to the richness of it. And then so we get a really good DA course and a really good Scrum course. And what if that DA course, we made it very clear that is a team offering? everybody on the team should take it. Because right now, that's the feedback we've been getting, is that when somebody like yourself, Joshua, goes into a company and says, well, first thing you need to do is train people up. Smarter. It's a team sport. More knowledge, more skills on the team will result in better retrospectives, yada, 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 right? And then the response we get back from the customers are, I want to send my developer to a Scrum Master class. Why would I do that?
Exactly.
So, right, touche. We dropped that ball. Even though the DA Scrum Master, I think we all know, course is applicable to all team members. Sure doesn't look like it. So what if we had a DA for practitioners or a DA for teams, just like SAFE has a SAFE for teams, and it makes it very clear that your team should increase its, raise the bar, increase its skill level, so that it can really meet your performance potential. So I just wanted to let people know who've had those concerns. We're going to make the Scrum course really a bulletproof offering. And I think we can't do everything in 2 days. So we'll provide a very obvious offering for team members where once people take it, they're going to really open their eyes to what's in that toolkit. Interested in people's feedback. And we will actually be working with our advisor group, of which Joshua is a member, and other surveying other groups, including customers, about whether or not this is indeed what they're looking for. But based on what I've heard the last year, this is exactly what people are looking for.
Yeah, it's definitely something we get a lot of feedback on, and exactly for the way you described it. It's like, well, I don't need to train 50 or 100 Scrum Masters. Yeah, I need to train team members. And then in addition, the team members, they need to be able to action on what they're being trained on, right?
Some of which will become Scrum Masters or team leads or lean team leads or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And that was one of the questions I had that we would have eventually have gotten to.
Oh, okay.
That is an interesting topic. So that was a perfect segue into it, though. And so thank you, everyone that's out there. Lots and lots of questions that are here. So I'll do my best to keep kind of having us look through them. And if we miss any, I'll try and wrangle Mark and Scott to maybe help post. Post.
Yeah, we'll respond.
Post the live stream here. Here's one that though. So for those that have taken either a Disciplined Agile Coach, a DAC course already, or a VSC course, right? Where will they get the case study? A little bit easier for people that once they take a course, once it's available, right? But for those that already have, we know there's probably a decent sized queue out there.
Question, yeah. There's a few hundred. We're going to be sending out an email. So so you'll later on this month you'll get an email of congratulations, the test is set up, blah blah blah. And by the way, here's the case study. You better read it. So that's basically the email. Yeah. So the people who are in queue, yes, we will get the case study out to you. Chances are spectacularly good that the case studies will also be in the COPs, the communities of practice. We haven't totally made that decision yet, but it's writing's on the wall.
Awesome. Get another question here from Chastain, and I will just give a shout out to Chastain. Chastain has attended a few of the courses I've delivered from Alaska, and sometimes at 2 or 3 in the morning for her. So quite a commitment, which is very much appreciated, Chastain. So should we all standardize a transition of referring to IT to replace it with enterprise technology?
Yeah, interesting. I just want to give her a shout. I lived in Anchorage for a while, so it's awesome. I love Alaska. It's a great place. But anyways, so that's a great idea, but I'm always reticent to change terminology. So because the problem is it's like somebody will use the term enterprise technology, some will use computer technology, information technology. It's the English language. There's no perfect terminology. Like regardless of what term you land on, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like it. But enterprise technology is pretty good. I got to admit.
It's a great point and question, and I like Scott's response. He and I over the years have, had a lot of pressure to change our agnostic terminology to Scrum terminology. So we made a conscious choice long time ago that a sprint is an iteration. So we call it an iteration. And a Scrum is actually a coordination meeting. So we do so. And we get flack from it. People say, I don't want to say daily coordination meeting. I want to say Scrum. And we say, okay, call it Scrum. We don't care. But we're not going to rename everything in the toolkit around a specific method. I think that's the right thing to do.
And just on that, because that's a hot button for me, but there is significant value in being aware of the damage that Scrum terminology does to the Agile community. It's like literally the Scrum terminology is like putting blinders on. It dramatically reduces your ability to think outside of the Scrum Box, which is a wonderful marketing scheme for them. But it's and the Scrum terminology, by the way, is a marketing scheme. They were very clear about that when they first kicked off Scrum 25 some odd years ago now. So just be aware, be very aware that the terminology really does matter. And that if you run into conversations, well, how does architecture fit into Scrum? Oh, come on, right? And the problem is because they don't really want to talk about it. And if you were using non-Scrum terminology, you could find like thousands of articles on that topic. But
And on that note, people have we've taken some body blows, right, Scott, about calling our DASM a Scrum Master, when forever we've avoided calling anything a Scrum Master in DA. Again, you can call it that if you want. We don't care what you call it. Circus performer, I don't care. But there are people out there who love Scrum, and that's all they want to do. And God bless them if that makes sense for you. But what about choice? So maybe in the future you might see something like a lean team lead offering. So people take the DA for teams and they go, you know what? Yeah, Scrum, that's so 1990s. And I'm kind of only half kidding. I want, in our organization, we use lean. So I think I want to take the lean version of a leadership course. I think we should offer that. Maybe it's DA for Spotify as well, and DA for XYZ. Who knows? It's got specializations. So because we're about choice, saying everything should go through the DA Scrum Master is probably the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we've got. We've got a lot in here. So we've got another one from Skip. Will measures and metrics with benchmarks for reference be included?
Do you want to talk about the Agile metrics cred, Scott, or do you want
that would be the wrong answer to this question, but I will take the opportunity. So we have an Agile metrics micro accreditation available now. I believe it's available now.
It is. Yeah.
Is it? Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's hard. I'm on the inside, right? I don't quite know what happens on the outside sometimes. So I
say we keep you in a walled room. And
so I throw pizza.
Give you pizza.
About it, yeah. So anyways, so we have a really, really solid micro accreditation for Agile metrics, which really I think is probably one of the better initiations to metrics that you're going to find. But I think Skip's real question is when are we going to see metrics around DA and benchmarks and benchmark data that you can benchmark against? That's really hard to get. We actually, I'm working with a research team right now who is going to be getting some data on this, but the challenge and then benchmark data we're years away from. But although having said that, like if you look at some of the things that gets published by like Capers Jones and by Don Reifer and others, there is benchmark data out there at the practice level, right? So one of the issues we have with DA is like we reference like up to 1,600 practices and strategies right now. So you can get benchmarks on individual practices. It's benchmarks on the bigger holistic thing. That's really hard.
And it's phenomenally hard to get. And our industry is fraught with lies, damn lies, and
statistics,
metrics.
Yeah.
And Jeff Sutherland, God bless him, hasn't done us any favors by promising twice the work in half the time. It's just making us all look foolish. Yes, you can get that in certain situations if you're absolutely abysmal to start with. But as Scott says, people like Don Reifer has pointed out, that's not the typical improvement that you see. So we're kind of reticent to roll out a metrics or a measurement program because it's subject to gaming, and I know people want those numbers. They sell whatever you're selling, but those of us who know that you can't rely on those as factual. And so I always go back to DA's fundamental value proposition is getting better skilled people. And that should be self-evident that better skilled people yield better results. It's not complicated, but people still want. So I get you, Skip. We need it, despite what I just said. We need those numbers. And what I can tell you to add to what Scott said is that we are working with some companies this year to implement DA. Now, we're not for profit. We don't do consulting services, but we can oversee implementations of DA, and we're going to make sure that we capture baselines beginning and end to measure the performance improvement of people who have learned the tools to be more effective in their jobs. So we will be getting some numbers. It's going to take some time, but we are doing that. Stay tuned. Oh, that's not a dumb question. Well, that's a thorn in my side too. Scott, I don't know.
It's actually somebody in the chat posted it. It's pmi.org/disciplined agile with a hyphen between discipline and agile. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just naive, but I think we should be able to type in www.disciplinedagile.com and it goes to someplace in the PMI website. But yeah, we don't do that right now. Yeah, we shouldn't be that people have to understand that Disciplined Agile is part of PMI in order to be able to find it. Now, to our credit, we got some pretty smart web people and working on SEO and those kinds of things that people usually find this stuff through Google anyway. So I don't think that's a real impediment, the fact that it has PMI.org in the front of it. So it's going to be easier to find it. Trust your favorite search engine.
How about the DA event in India? Do you know the one that you mentioned?
I don't know when it's going to be held. That's a great question. But I can tell you this. Why India? Some of us have been there. Scott and I have been there a number of times. It is a kick-ass, if I could use that word, conference. It's run really, really well and gets really large turnout. And India is a huge market for DA. And already they've expressed a tremendous, probably, I don't know the numbers, but I think the majority of our certified people are from India, even already, and with the potential to become huge. So I don't know what the date is, but we plan to, as long as, COVID gets better, we plan to be there in person with a pretty big presence.
How about some support material like business cases and?
Yeah, so we have some published on the site. If you look under the resources menu, actually from the main page, there's one of the little block areas is success stories. So click on that, and it'll take you to the success stories. Like Mark said, we are actively asking for more. If you're but I'm gonna put this back to everybody on this call. If you're working in an organization that's doing DA right now, reach out to us. We will help you get a case study together, right? So everybody asks for case studies, nobody writes them. Yeah, we got to stop that.
Yeah, and for them actually quite hard to get because somebody at the very top, when your legal department has to sign off on it.
Yeah.
And companies are they used to be much more easy to convince to do a case study. Now the lawyers have gotten involved. I have a couple of fully baked case studies. They're awesome, and they love DA, but can't get past the legal department. Won't be published. I want to answer the question too.
Sure.
So PMI Montreal, right? COP. Thank you, by the way, for doing that. We started a DA champion program a couple of years ago, and we asked for volunteers, and we got 180 people around the world signing up to be a DA champion before they even knew what it was, quite frankly. And we didn't follow up. we kind of dropped the ball. We didn't give them the resources they needed to promote DA, talk about DA, schedule courses, or whatever they need to build a really good COP. So 2022, this roadmap that I can't show you has 9 things on it. And one of them is to reinvigorate the champion program. And make sure we get books out to you, swag, ball caps, golf balls, whatever you want. And so that you can, have a little contest locally or do whatever you want to do to promote DA. So help is coming.
Lauren asks a great question. Needs some materials presenting DA to executives.
It's like we wrote these questions. Scott, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we actually have we've been working on with actually our DA advisory committee, an executive, intro to DA for executives. I can't remember what it's called, but it's something like that. DA for executives workshop that we're going to make available on the COPs, at least for VSC very soon. So we'll do that. We also have plans for public facing decks. Right now we have internally public facing decks. So for the chapters can get access to overviews of DA and those types of decks. But we're going to start making those available to the outside world pretty darn soon.
Okay, so I also want to answer this one, and maybe I misunderstood Scott a little bit, just to make, but the executive workshop, rewind a little bit. One of the other 9 initiatives is to reinvigorate the consulting partner program. I told you about that already. We're going to make it more accessible, cheaper, easier to get in. We set the bar too high. Like you got to have 20 coaches or whatever to become a premium consultant.
Come on, Process Mentors is a consulting partner.
Oh,
make the bar lower?
You want to be the only one in the world? Yeah, I know you do.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't scale very well, Joshua. So anyway, God bless you, the best partner in the world right here. But we are going to make the program more attractive, so that people know that they can build a profitable business around DA, doing training, but more importantly, consulting services. And part of the getting a consulting gig, or even getting the training for that matter, is convincing the executives this is a good thing. So yes, we are creating an executive workshop, and we're not going to charge for it, because not everything has to be a product at PMI. We're a not-for-profit, mission-driven organization, and we need to give consulting partner assets to help them build that practice. And one of these assets, we believe, should be an executive workshop. And if they want to sell it, they can. If they want to do it free to introduce people to DA to get that deal, they can do that too. So I'm not sure if I conflicted with what you said, Scott, but I think that is our direction.
Yeah. It's going to be both for consulting partners as well as we're thinking about making it available to VSCs. There's
okay. Okay, that would make sense.
Okay. Yeah, for the value stream consultants to need that. Yeah. Plus, one of the things that's on the IP list is like a very brief intro to DA for executives for a downloadable deck. Very short, very sweet.
So I've missed probably some of the comments or just the chatter going on, but I got to pull something up from Steve. So he's got Scrum Box. Looks like that's a new For those of you that don't know Steve has a wonderful sense of humor and trying to think outside of the box, so to speak. Let's see. Trying to get as many of these in the time we've got left.
Good question, Mark.
We're painting a statue when what we need to get eyes and hearts is a ballet. Okay. Okay. Can you bring it back up?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I didn't read the last sentence. I hope to hear what is the 22 go forward strategy to get DA past the chasm of indifference. Yeah, you know what? I hope that a lot of what we said today gives you some encouragement, Steve, is that I think that we are guilty internally of not being as agile as we need to be, not being as responsive to customers as we need to be. The PMI has a heritage of being a membership group, a testing group, certification group, And the way DA does things is a little bit counter to the existing PMI culture. But you know what? PMI is changing, but it starts with us, and you're going to see, and you have to trust me on this, and hold me accountable this time next year. Please do. That you're going to see more of a ballet, less painting, and more action. I'm really excited about the things I've talked to you about today. I've created a new DA leadership team, a smaller group of people that can be more responsive and dynamic and take ownership for some of the things I've talked about today. So there's accountability. It's not a whole bunch of people all working on a bunch of stuff at the same time. We're adopting new ways of working, and all I'd ask you is to, I know it's been hard to be patient. I'm asking for a bit more patience. We're taking what we've learned in the last couple of years, and we're really applying it. And I'm blessed to have a very supportive boss, Mike DePresco, who has supported this piece of paper that is our roadmap for this year.
See, and everybody's wondering why you don't have a mirror behind you. See, Mark, if you could have strategically placed that, you wouldn't be like,
hey, I've already told you too much, right? But again, no commitments. Those are plans. But I'm excited about what's coming. Come to the Agile Alliance Conference. I think you'll recognize that this is not the PMI you thought it was.
Awesome.
See you there. One more thing before we run out of time. Scott mentioned about, we need case studies from y'all. I'm going to say we need conference talks from you all. Agile Alliance abstract submissions is open, but it closes February 15. I would ask you, put some talk abstracts in. Well, let's work together. It's not just this group. It's not just the PMI folk. I've always said, when we get people outside of DA, PMI talking about DA in public, that's when we win. So it's an appeal to you all, is put a talk in. And then I'll see you at the conference.
So online, we're just about to post that request. We're going to post on LinkedIn in the COPs as well. So expect something probably tomorrow.
Yeah, and they don't make it salesy. I'm not asking you to go up there and sell DA, but just show how stuff in the toolkit has helped you. They're like experience reports, those kinds of things.
And we're going to give advice for how to successfully get accepted at the conference, as well as at least in the COPs, we're going to help people provide feedback and shepherd you through if you want feedback and help.
So I'll put something up. Thank you, Vicky, for mentioning this. This was something I also wanted to mention is I am going to start doing some of the weekly webinars and newsletters I was doing. I've got a few more items on the value stream management series that I was doing. And the next one that I'm super excited that I'm going to be kicking off in February is about start doing your way of working, right? Because we've got so much great information in the richness in DA about choosing your way of working. I'm going to pull in some of the content that we typically use when we're helping the enablement of organizations, and to start doing that way of working then. And that'll be the next series that at least I'll be doing on this channel, on this live stream. Yeah. And as always with you guys, I mean, the time just passes so quickly. So I'll say sort of in the lightning round, any last words for those that are watching this live or anybody that might be watching this on the replay?
I'll just start off by saying thank you. If you're here, thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. I know you've been frustrated with us at times. We're trying really hard, and we've made some changes internally where I do think that you're going to actually see a differences here. So hang in there. We're going to do everything we can to help you be successful in your job, in your consulting practice, in your teaching practice, whatever you do. Scott?
I'm going to actually respond to Stefan Smetz's question. There's actually a release notes page on the site at pmi.org. So whoever's typing in URLs, if they could find that and post it in the chat, that would be great. We update that as we publish. Now, if we, update a paragraph or something, we're not going to put that in the release notes because it's just too trivial. But if we add new pages, if we update a major diagram, do a major update to a page, then that appears in the release notes, and that appears at the time we publish. We've organized the release notes by quarter, but we actually released something today, and we updated the release notes today.
Awesome. Yeah. And then, as a thank you for the person that's posting those URLs, it is Pam.
Thank you.
Yay, Pam.
And with that, I'll say thank you, Mark. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for everybody that's in attendance, for the questions that were asked. And we'll continue to watch the event on LinkedIn for any other questions that either weren't answered or anything else that comes up. And we will see everyone next time. Thanks again.
Take care, everyone. Be safe.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everybody.